Welcome to another podcast. This is Mark on just a glorious morning here in New York City. I am in New York City this time, by the way. Where are you, Rick?
Well, I'm not in New York City nor New Jersey, where you often are. I'm actually sitting in my almost empty apartment here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I am moving to another part of the city. And so I'm holding forward here for The Twist in Shreveport, Louisiana.
So this is how I find things out on Saturday when I talk to you.
Mark, our personal life amounts to about a half hour of conversation that we let millions of people in on each week on this podcast. But hey, I'm kind of a voyeur that way.
We text a lot, but I've noticed you haven't been texting because you're so busy moving. I get it.
Yeah, you get it. No, Mark, I am moving, and there's a lot going on. And if you follow me on Facebook, oh no, I don't share those details.
I am on Facebook with you.
I know we are. And you're upset about something this morning on Facebook. I saw it. Oh, you lost a friend. You follow your friend.
Oh no, you know the little count. It says you got 100 and whatever, like 1,000 friends. I had 160. I can't tell if it went up or down one. I thought it was 164. This morning it was 163.
You know how you remedy that? You go into the thousands and one doesn't make a difference.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, and then I thought, with my memory lately, it was probably 162 and I went up one.
Isn't that awful?
The count was different.
Well, that's good. You have a new friend. But you would have accepted that friend.
Yes, because I'm not going to spend a half an hour like going through every single friend who most of them I don't really communicate with anyways. But anyways, are we ready to start our podcast, Rick?
Yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. If you're joining us for the first time, you can find us on YouTube, and you can also find us on the twistpodcast.com.
Yes, we're on iTunes too, and Libsyn, and SoundCloud. So before we start, I want to plug, because you can see this. I don't know if you can see it though. But Dave Hughes, he's a friend of mine. He's also a fabulous columnist, and he has a website called retirefabulously.com. You've probably heard me talk about him. So his new book is out. It's called Design Your Dream Retirement: How to Envision, Plan for, and Enjoy the Best Retirement Possible. It's really fabulous, and full disclosure, I was the editor. He gave me my first editing gig to edit the book. But then I noticed this morning, because I just started, I read it, but I just got it on my Kindle. And there's an amazing acknowledgement of me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Book, like a big paragraph. And I'm like, wow, because sometimes, Rick, you probably identify. I think everybody does. You go through life, and sometimes you think, like, nobody really appreciates what you're doing. I just went through that with my other website. But they do. It's just that we don't always remember to tell each other. So maybe my message for today before we get into the podcast is remember to tell people that you appreciate what they do.
Yeah, I think you're right there, but it's also remember that you leave thumbprints every day on people's lives without knowing it. Whether you tell someone, I love your fingernail polish, the gal checking you out at the grocery store, or the guy, or the transgender friend, whatever. But it's true. I had this conversation with a friend yesterday. She's like, well, this little boy's not going to be in my life much longer because I'm moving and he and his dad are staying here, whatever. I'm like, that kid, you've touched his life, because he went in the store the other day and said, would you please tell everybody you're my mom, even though she wasn't? It's like, never discount the impact you have on people's life, whether you hear it or not. But I'm agreeing with you, Mark. I want to thank you for being my mentor. And I'm serious.
In what way?
In the way we have tackled the LGBT world when we did the over 50 set, when we did the LGBTSR launch, a website that's been around a long time.
I know, and we're getting sidetracked, but I was going to tell you, I happened to look at an old post at the website because I was searching for something, and it was announcing our Age to Perfection podcast. It was 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Spring of 2012. I'm like, holy shit. We got to get onto our show. A little bit of a tease here for folks. We're going to be talking about Barbie Boys, Hillary nudes, not to be confused with Naked Hillary, slut-shaming Charlie Sheen, the Next Names project, which I'm interested. I can't wait to hear about that from you. And your final bell, which you'll let us know when we get there.
We use the bell to transfer between stories, by the way, or when we're tired of hearing each other.
Yes, someday people will be so familiar with our podcast.
We won't have to tell them
these things.
Yes.
Are we ready for the weekly Readlines?
We are. Lots of news.
Absolutely. This is your weekly Readlines. A quick look at what's going on this week. What a mess. The world continued to careen to hell in a handcart. Paris burned up the headlines for another week. with the so-called mastermind of the Paris attacks killed along with his jihadi honey, who turned out to be his cousin. Now, for some reason, she wanted people to know she was not his girlfriend. I guess maybe having a girlfriend cousin is not okay in the Muslim world. I'm not sure, or the Muslim Islamic extremist world. I don't want to be, you know what I mean. I don't want to sound wrong. Charlie Sheen single-handedly brought back AIDS hysteria with some bonus stupidity from Jenny McCarthy. Who was also worried about playing his love interest on television. Like, what's that about? And then I've got Louisiana's governor's race. That's close to home
Today,
for you. Heats up with accusations of thugs, prostitutes, and spies. It's politics gumbo with a side of salacious. Here's another one that I know is going to bring a smile to your face. Twinner bans on-site blood drives in their facilities to protest the ban on gay and bisexual men donating blood. For the first time in recorded history, an emoji was named Oxford Dictionary's Word of the Year. And finally, as befits an ending, Facebook will make breaking up less hard to do. I'm not quite clear on that, but I guess you can like disappear your ex and make sure they never see you again and that kind of thing. So thank God for Facebook. They make our lives so much easier.
I know how that works because I read up on it. You don't have to block your ex anymore. They know his or her name, and they just go in, and you'll never see any posts or pictures, for that matter, that even appear on your friends' sites where they're tagged. So, yeah, thank God for Facebook.
Yes, they do so much for us.
I'm going to talk about Hillary's nudes. This is a story that comes out of Louisiana. Weird Louisiana. Yes, today is the election day, Mark. You are right. David Vitter being a part of that election, so that's why it's so speaking of prostitutes and things. But I will tell you this: there was also a David Duke sighting in town last Saturday. A couple of my friends saw him at a theater here in town. Yeah, he went to see and meet the Marshall Tucker Band.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. Perfect eye. He had copies of his book, and anyway, I won't out my friend who told me she saw him and was scared, very frightened to see him, because she is a Hillary supporter. She is also the one that told me about this incredible artist down in New Orleans. Her name is Sarah Soule, and you can find her work online. Soule as in S-O-L-E, like the fish. Actually, it's not. It's S-O. I got it. Mark, I'm old. Hold on, Mark.
I just took my glasses off, so don't ask.
Yeah, that's it. She has a blog site called Hillary and I, and she also has a website. You can find her, again, it's Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, Soule, where she posts nude paintings of Hillary Clinton. She said she never met Hillary, but it was a photo of Hillary that she found on Getty Images one day that prefigured the nude painting that she did. Her first painting, I think, was called My Private Hillary. And she just was fascinated by Hillary's look in her face and her consternation and the way, Hillary has that specific look when she's dealing with things like Benghazi accusations and
yes, and I love the way she laughs without laughing.
Yeah, exactly. She's perfect to imitate. Kate McKinnon, of course, plays a wonderful version of her on Saturday Night Live. Anyway, so she's went about and painted her nude, topless at many times, sometimes riding a motorcycle, sometimes like supporting gay causes. This one painting I'm looking at right now is called True Colors. She talks on each of these how she was inspired by Hillary to paint the painting. But the coolest part is on the Hillary and I blog, she talks about why she paints. And she actually imagines the former Secretary of State coming into her studio, posing nude, and from there they start an illicit relationship. I wonder how Hillary feels about it.
Is this woman is she family?
Yes, she's of our family.
Oh, okay. And so for the cis, not cis people, is that no? But the non queers out there, family means no, but not everybody knows.
No, you're right. Family means like they play on our team. I mean, I think straight people use that too. Are they part of our family? No. Do you?
No, they don't call each other family.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hate to say it, Hillary probably never heard about this artist until she heard our podcast this morning. So, hi, Hillary. Sorry to break the news.
Hi, Hillary.
They're beautiful paintings if you check them out. What do you think, Mark? Nude paintings are an okay thing, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Imagination is healthy.
No, they were doing it like 400 years ago.
That's right.
Raphael
it's good
and
stuff.
Stuff. Now they cover them up. Now you go to Congress, go to a museum and they want to cover them up, like some 400-year-old statue or painting that it's, oh my God. It's crazy world. Barbie Boys. Yes, I was so excited to see this. Now, I just tried to find out how to pronounce Moschino. Do you know?
I've watched the commercial 100 times. It's Moschno or something. Mokno. I don't know.
Do you know where that comes from?
I thought it's a designer's name, and they're all sold out.
Oh, okay, I get it now. It's a designer. Anyways, the big thing was there was a Mattel put out a
Moschino. That's it.
Moschino Barbie, and it's the commercial has a like this fabulous little blonde boy in it who says that Moschino Barbie is fierce. And I watched it, and of course the right wingers are like, "Oh my God," because they're all freaked out that we're going gender neutral and that kind of stuff. But I just loved it. I loved it because I was a Barbie boy myself. My sister Carol was 3 years older than me, so I used to play with her Barbies. If she had a Barbie's Malibu beach house, I had to have it too. And one thing I will give my parents credit for, despite their faults, was that they allowed me to play with the Barbies. They didn't give me a hard time. At least my mother didn't.
Right.
So I was digging the Barbies, and then I found G.I. Joe, probably about the time that I was beginning to become sexually aware, because G.I. Joe, to a little, 8-year-old, 7-year-old gay boy, provides other things for the imagination. And back then the G.I. Joes were big. Now they're little tiny things. But anyways, so I was a Barbie boy, and I saw this commercial last week, and it was so fabulous. I'm sure you watched it. I just think it's wonderful, and I don't, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people understand that too. You know why? It's not so much that toys need to be gender neutral, but I remember when I don't know if it was Target or one of them they were going to get rid of the pink and blue coating and stuff. And some people were upset, and this father was like, how will my little kid, my daughter or my son know what toys to play with? And I thought, children naturally, instinctively know what they want to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to get out of the way and let them. There are little girls who want to play with trucks. There are little boys who want a Moschino Barbie. And just let them explore those worlds. So I was just
fierce.
It was fierce and ferocious.
Yeah, no, I want to finish that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You first told me about it, the commercial, and I looked it up, and I thought, well, it'd just be a little boy. To your point, like, hey, we're crossing the gender roles, and we're just like showing that any kid can play with a Barbie. My brother and I used to play with my sister's Barbie, and we used to actually use fingernail clippers and clip its nails. Mark?
Yep, no big
Sorry.
deal.
Anyway,
I'll
call
just,
coming in.
I'll deal with it. So
okay. Anyway, my brother and I used to play with my sister's Barbie and started clipping its nails, and they never grew back, so we had to stop doing that. But her nails, that's right. And then we used to hang G.I. Joe in trees and stuff. Doesn't matter, but I thought it was just gonna be a little boy. But of course, like you said, he was a
fierce little boy.
A fierce little boy. I played in my office, and everybody's like thinking I'm watching a Barbie commercial. So by one they come in, because when I want to just see it, because I love it. It's a sense of pride for me. And the reactions of each of them are amazing. Whether it's a straight man coming in or a single mother, they all love it. And it shows how far we've come as a people. So
yes, I'm not going to cut that out, by the way. There's no point in it.
No point in it. My friend was calling to tell me she's in the hospital. But
okay.
Yeah, she texted me at the same time. So I apologize, guys. I'll call Donna later.
She's worth Donna. She's worth a little break in the video.
Yeah, she is. Hey, Donna. Love you. You're going to heal. Andre Gutierrez leads a national youth outreach campaign for the last one, which is a documentary about AIDS. He is a client of our friends, Cindy and Rainey, who have a company called Krieger Cole Communications. They work to get the word out there for many of their clients about different LGBT causes. Well, Mark, what I'm talking about, what you referred to earlier in the show, is the need for the Next Names Project. He started talking about the importance of putting faces to the victims of gun violence. And I really like it. And he compared the analogy to when Cleve Jones determined that the best way to combat HIV and AIDS was an awareness piece, which eventually turned to the AIDS Memorial Names Project quilt that traveled the world. You and I shared a visit in D.C. once to see the quilt as it unfurled on Memorial Square. And that's what he's calling for. He says the problem now is that we talk about gun violence, and we talk about the numbers of people that are killed, and we see their picture maybe on a Huffington Post or USA Today post, and then it's over. He suggests that it's time to put a face to these people. He says, in essence, by naming the dead during the Names Project for HIV and AIDS, it took away the very anonymity that had been fueling the lack of response. The people lost were no longer those queers from New York and San Francisco, but rather our brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, uncles, cousins, friends, and neighbors. I love this idea. And he says that I don't know if it's going to be a quilt that travels to D.C. or a traveling photography exhibit, Whatever the symbol is, it should be grand and unifying and really keep people on target to remember that guns do kill.
I really like that.
That's a beautiful idea. It's like time to, to do something instead of just talking about it.
It's a great idea. Slut shaming, Charlie Sheen.
Big
lifestyle shaming, drug shaming, as the world now knows, at least in the United States. Charlie Sheen came out as being HIV positive, or he revealed that. We use the word coming out now for everything, but anyways, he revealed that he's HIV positive. And I thought it was a really good thing to do for him. And this is such a complicated thing for me. I don't want to take up too much time with it because he's so vilified, and women especially. I noticed on Facebook, like, he's a sleazebag, he's a slimeball, like they hate him. To me, I see a very troubled child who may just not have grown up. I think he's a very troubled human being. I think he's damaged. I'm definitely going off on a tangent here because I saw somebody say, "Oh, Martin Sheen was such a great guy. There's no comparison to his son," is what they were saying essentially. And I thought, just because Martin Sheen's a liberal darling doesn't mean he was a good parent. All right, let's get that shit straight. I have to say that because it really bugged me that he was being compared to his father for political purposes. It's just bizarre. But anyways, he came out as HIV positive. And he was, it was immediately, it was like somebody said it's 1985 all over again. People were talking about, just like they were back then, it's like, did he infect the women that he had sex with and the men possibly? He was being vilified for it and stigmatized, and like, it took so long to get past that crap. We still aren't in some ways, and we don't need it back. We don't need it back. So stop slut-shaming Charlie Sheen. It's not okay to do it with women, and it's not okay to do it with men, and it's not okay to do it with Charlie Sheen. And then this idiot, Jenny McCarthy, the anti-vaxxer, played his love interest on 2.5 Men. So she was talking about, well, he should have told me, and like, come on, man. You're an actor. It's a part. He was under no obligation to tell you a goddamn thing. And you're just sounding as stupid as you already have sounded on so many other things. So I'm on Charlie's side. And this last comment. Tall Road, which is a gay website, big gay website. Martin Sheen spoke like a couple days later, and he said that he was really proud of the courage that Charlie Sheen showed. So Tall Road runs a headline about Martin Sheen's comments, and they put courage in quotes, so that we know that Tall Road isn't saying Charlie had courage. And it really pissed me off.
Yeah,
that's like
there?
People putting gay marriage, like putting marriage in quotes. I hate it when people do that. You're a shitty editor if you do it. That's Martin Sheen said, "I admire his courage. There is no reason whatsoever to put the word courage in quotes so that your little gay fans know that you don't think it was courageous."
Yeah, we're a community that should come together. This is a disease that devastated our community. So no matter who's living with it, you're so right. I often thought about this because a lot of people in my family and friends that are alcoholics, and people always are like judging of that too, because it's a lifestyle connected thing. It's a choice related thing. So many people think. And the reality is, no, when I started to realize that alcoholism is a disease, no different than polio, no different than multiple sclerosis, no difference in diabetes, which I'm pre-diabetic. And it's like, I would hope people don't judge me because I like to be a little boy with a big fat piece of chocolate cake once in a while. That's a lifestyle decision. My pre-diabetes is probably determined by many factors, including
half the country is pre-diabetic.
Exactly. But you know what, Mark? I am because of my lifestyle. That's what led me to where I'm at. So stop it. And I agree with you. I think the big thing that I got out of the Charlie Sheen thing is all these presidential candidates responding about it and how they're responding to it. And the fact that they've been going to Santorium being one of the leaders in this. And I think the guy from Arkansas actually went to these things where this preacher was preaching. Did you see this story this week?
The anti-gay stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to hear this guy basically saying, kill the queers. Mm-hmm. And these are people that are running for president. Even if they got 5 votes, those 5 people should be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay. Final bell, Mark.
Your
Last
turn.
topic of the day. Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, it was a big week. The Charlie Sheen thing was something we talked about doing it with. And I want to talk about the refugees. And I want to talk about it a little differently. Thursday, of course, historic vote. 47 Democrats came together and voted for the SAFE Act, which aims to impose even more restrictions on the cumbersome process of screening refugees into our country. And this morning, actually, Obama's over in Malaysia, and he was in the Malaysian capital and made it known that under his presidency, he's going to do everything he can to fight to allow refugees comfortably into our country without any special, market discrimination, having to go through more tests just because you happen to be from a Islamic nation. And the reality, I could go on and on, cite statistics. We've all heard them this week. We all have our opinions. We're all either afraid to talk about it or super willing to talk about it openly on social media where no one can interact with you one-on-one at the moment. But I've decided to really study it and get my heart right before I made any comments about it. But the reality is we're talking about kids. We're talking about women. We're not talking about virile, strong men that are coming over that are going to sneak in. Of the 785,000 or whatever it is, 735,000 refugees we brought into the United States so far, only 3 were connected with tourism, and they were caught and punished, and everything happened. But he's over in Malaysia this morning, meeting with kids, showing the faces of these kids, refugees in other countries, and showing how generous other countries can be, and what's the hang-up with our country. There's a whole political side. I mean, the fact that 47 Democrats voted in favor of it, he's got his hands full trying to do that. Could be vetoed by him, as we know. But I will tell you this. When you talk about the last big wave of migration was really from 2009 to 2014, an estimated 870,000 Mexicans came to the United States, right? To date, 1 million returned home. So what I'm saying is there were more immigrants from Mexico than those numbers, but during that 5-year period, 870,000 more came in, but 1 million returned back. So it's a net loss of 130,000, refugees. In their case, they're refugees. They came here to earn incomes and do things that they didn't have the opportunity in their country. But the point being, it's just ebb and flow. We are the country that's supposed to give people respite, even if it's temporary. Harkens back to how we treated Japanese during World War II, harkens back to the comments FDR, the gross comments he made and decisions he made with allowing refugees in during the Holocaust, and also even Vietnam. I mean, we've allowed a lot of Vietnamese refugees into our country despite the fact that they were our enemy. So I'm going to end it with a quick quote. You still have your final quote, but my friend posted this on Facebook, and it's so true. We know this quote. We grew up with this quote. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That's what our country stands for. And that was the final bell.
Thank you. Very nice as always. And here comes our end quote for the show. Discussing Carol. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you weren't moving, and I thought.
No, I'm intense.
You were enthralled. I thought I'd lost you because you were like,
No,
okay.
I'm lost in what I was stating, and I'm really focused on you because I'm dying to hear what you have to say.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
I am.
Discussing Carol, which is the movie, her new film based on Patricia Highsmith's novel, The Price of Salt. Kate Blanchett, who I happen to think is a brilliant actress, told the press at Cannes, quote, "What happens these days is if you are homosexual, you have to talk about it constantly. It has to be the only thing. You have to put it before your work, before any other aspect of your personality." I never thought I would be putting Kate Blanchett and Jenny McCarthy in the same pool of stupid. Please, Kate, educate yourself on this one. Thanks for listening to another edition of The Twist, Shreveport's only clothing optional podcast.
Ooh. Bye all.